What about Cody Road?
Oh, you said last one.
You did say last one.
Well, I cheated.
We're always team Cody Rhodes.
But they had told us, it was really easy to have a son with Down syndrome or a baby with Down syndrome. And as they grow up, just kind of like keep them in the corner. Like, they don't need much attention. They can just kind of be in the corner and do their own thing. And they were like, don't do that at all.
I just want to say that you truly are the reason we do what we do. And this means the world to me to actually know that we are impacting young families who have kids with Down syndrome. So this is not the end of our friendship.
Good.
I hope that you will keep in touch.
Gone. All right, guys, welcome back to Baker's Bantering. We got Jenna Nicole Baker, Valerie Baker, and we got Jago in that corner. And we got special guests. Please welcome Matt, Chelsea, and Graham. The Graham family.
Welcome to Baker's Bantering.
Welcome to Baker's Bantering.
Thank you.
I got a lot of questions.
Okay, before we hop into the questions,
last question,
Derek, let me give the listeners a quick background on how we know Chelsea and Matt.
Before we do that, Jenna,
thank you.
wants to talk about how the way to meet this lovely family. You may start with that, and then I will throw out every single question.
Oh, okay. Well, I think me and Mom have some questions too, and I think Matt and Chelsea might have some questions as well. So I think we're gonna mix it up a little bit. Yeah.
We'll see about that.
Okay, we'll see about that. So
you guys are in the end.
Oh, okay.
Bikini.
We'll let you ask the first question after I give the intro. Okay. So we did meet Matt and Chelsea at the Cleveland Guardians game when we were visiting Cleveland for SummerSlam. And it was actually really
big wrestling fans, I might add.
Okay, well, maybe they're wrestling fans. Maybe they just said they were wrestling fans to make you happy. We'll see which one. But it was so sweet. We get to meet a lot of people. And it's really exciting when we get to talk to anybody who knows us from social media. But it definitely for me, and I think Mom would agree with me, that when we meet people who have somebody with Down syndrome in their lives, especially like young families, that is just like your family is the reason why we do what we do. Because when I was younger, nobody had Down syndrome on TV or in the movies obviously, there wasn't social media yet, which is why we are able to do what we do, because social media does exist and families like ours can share our stories on our own. But it didn't exist when I was younger. And to talk to families like you is like, it just really like that conversation with you guys really warmed our hearts. And I know Mom and I were talking about it for multiple days afterwards. And I do have to give Dad credit. He was the one that said, well, did you ask them to come on the podcast? And so that's when I messaged you. But I want to, from your perspective, like I know you guys kind of, you realized we were there and you're like, oh my gosh, we have to find them. So tell me that from your side.
Yeah, so that Friday night, we were headed down to the Guardians game and traffic was horrid. And we were like, why is it so bad for this game, like specifically? We realized WrestleMania was right next door at Rocket Mortgage. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if Derek is coming to this. And Matt was like, no, like they're from St. Louis. I doubt they're traveling. I'm like, I don't know. I've been seeing them traveling all summer for things like this. So I went to your guys' TikTok and I saw your guys', I think you posted a live story, and it was your road trip on the way to Cleveland. And we were like, no way. And we did not know you guys were going to be at the Guardians game. And Matt was like, if I just see them walking on the road, I will park this car in the middle of the road and get out to go meet them. So we were keeping our eye out downtown Cleveland looking for you guys.
And we were like, there's no way. There's so many people down here. There's no way we're going to see them.
So we go to the Guardians game, and I think I went to maybe Jenna's, your Instagram story, and I saw that you guys were at the game, and I saw your seats, and we were like, get out of here. So we were literally trying to figure out where you were sitting, in looking for you guys because I saw what I think you guys at the pizza company you guys went to for dinner. I saw what Derek was wearing. So we're trying to find you guys in the stadium. We're literally zooming in on our phone. This is so creepy to try and find you guys to see where you guys were sitting. No luck. Maybe 20 minutes later, Matt just happened to look over and saw you guys walking down the stairs out of your seats. So he was like, we got to go find them. I'm like, they're on the other side of the stadium. There's no way. He's like, Chelsea, come on, we have to. So we get out of our seats. We sprint to the nearest escalator, go up. We're like literally running through the concourse. And we saw Jenna outside of the bathroom on her phone. And we were like, oh, there's a sister. Like, let's not be creepy, but like, let's stand and walk around and like wait. And we saw you guys come out. So that's when we caught you guys.
That's amazing.
It's kind of like a creepy person is staring at us.
It's like if
far away.
We were like,
it's like if we were on Instagram and we saw that a WWE superstar was there and you were like, Jenna, we have to find them.
Yep, that's true.
That's what you'd make me do.
And,
True.
And I think it's creepy when somebody stares and never says anything. But when people are looking at us and they go, I recognize you from TikTok, I think that's awesome. Like, awesome. So I think that took the creep part away.
Yeah,
they said hi.
It is creepier when people just stare because we notice and we can feel it. But it's not like we're going to be like, oh, do you know who we are?
Right.
Like, that's such a weird thing to say to somebody.
Right.
And if you're wrong, that would be even worse.
Even more weird.
So it's just like, I'm never going to be like, I know you're staring at me, but we know you're staring at us.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. We're so glad that you came and found us and that you were successful. That, it could have happened the other way that we weren't so slow in all the things that we do. We could have been gone, but we're not that quick. And
yeah, we don't go anywhere very fast. Have you learned that about your family with Down syndrome, who has somebody with Down syndrome yet? That things don't happen very quickly.
No.
I do have lots of questions. Also, the last one after them. So, first off, I gotta know the whole relationship with Graham. How do we get that brutal soul come out, and why Graham is special to the world?
Oh,
Do you want to answer that one? Do you want me to answer that one? Why Graham's special to the world? Oh my gosh. It has been quite a journey. Since we found out that Graham would have Down syndrome when I was pregnant. I was about 13 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe we did like the optional NT scan. We had no genetic history, anything like that. So we were like, cool, an extra ultrasound picture. Let's do it. Like we have nothing to even think twice about. That's when they, found a thickened NT fluid on the back. They sent us to our local children's hospital, which is Akron Children's, to do maternal fetal additional second opinion. We did that, and that's when they found out that, hey, maybe you should do some genetic testing. We've seen thickened NT fluid. We really, think that he might be born with Down syndrome. We did the testing. It came back actually low risk for any sort of genetic disorder, anything like that. So we really didn't think anything of it throughout most of our pregnancy. It was probably about halfway through. Mm-hmm. They started seeing, soft markers and things like that through all of our ultrasound scans of, a shortened nasal bone. And they found a heart defect that was most common with children in Down syndrome. Things like that to really be like, hey, I know that test isn't always accurate, but just prepare yourselves, right? So when Graham was born, obviously they were like, yes, like we have to do some more blood tests, but due to, facial features, characteristics, things like that, like we're 100% certain like he was born with Down syndrome. And that is just like, there's no way to prepare for that. You do the best you can, but you do what you can. So Graham has been, oh my gosh, over the last, he's almost 2, so he's about 21 months, has been, I don't even know how to describe him, the biggest personality and the most resilient kid you could ever meet. He constantly has a smile on his face. He is the happiest kid you'll ever meet, given everything he's been through. 6 days old, he had his first heart surgery. He's had 3 more heart surgeries since then. He's had a feeding tube, so he's had a G-tube surgery. He just had eye surgery yesterday to get stents put into his tear duct, and he does it all with a smile on his face. Like, are you tired now? You're supposed to be happy and awake. He is just constantly just so happy, and he just lightens up a room wherever we go, and people absolutely love him. So he is just the most, I don't even know how to like best describe it.
Yeah, I think to answer your question, Derek, I think we knew Graham was pretty darn special the day we met him, the day he was born, and he's had that bright smile and that big personality ever since.
How you feel about having a baby with Down syndrome?
At first it was scary because you don't know what to expect. You know, you kind of look at your life of like, can I do this? Can we, take care of a child with, special needs and, that needs that extra care? It is the easiest thing we've ever done. Now, Graham is also our first child, so we had no idea what to expect. We didn't know what was typical and what was different. So we just treated it as normal. Like it was the easiest thing to us. Now, he had obviously his surgeries and stuff like that, but put that aside, he is just another baby, toddler now. He sleeps, he eats, he poops, he does all the things a baby does. So we treat him no different. And he is probably the easiest baby we could ever ask for.
Well, that is very beautiful. Like my shirt says, it says to make
differences make the difference.
Difference make the difference, and difference is they would have a Graham. Crazy for him if you want to be.
Well, Graham is only 2. I don't know how many questions he's going to be answering.
You may translate them to Graham, then that'd be great. Graham, I gotta know how you feel having great parents like Chelsea and Matt. How you feel?
He
says, I love them so much.
People kisses. Say yay.
That's very beautiful.
So I know Derek's kind of touched on like when he was born and finding out and that sort of thing. I want to know like a little bit deeper into the conversations with the doctors specifically and like how they approached it with you. Because I know when Derek was born, it went one way. Recently we talked to our friends Stacy and Lily, and they actually had a really bad experience with the doctor. But Lily at this point is 18 years old. So now medicine is more advanced. The approach is hopefully a little bit different. I want to know with, an almost 2-year-old, like what was it like in 2022?
Yes. So do you want me to touch on this one? You want to do this one?
I can talk about it.
Okay, go ahead.
I do know. So we did have that early genetic testing, and they found that cystic hygroma, and I do remember that they pulled us in a room and we weren't entirely sure what was really happening, and they sat us down with a genetics doctor to kind of explain it all. And while I do say we go to Akron Children's here in Northeast Ohio. You want to take them? Yeah. And we love that hospital. We love the doctors there. We love the cardiologists. They're all amazing. But we sat down with the genetics doctor, and man, we must have been in that room for
2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours.
For quite some time.
She came in with like a binder that was like this thick. And like the first thing she said was like, do you know how chromosomes work? And you were like,
I don't know why you're telling us about this.
Like, I know the basics. Like, I know we have, 46 and so on and so forth.
and we really went through what felt like a 2.5 hour lecture on chromosomes and genetics. And I can tell you, which we talked about after we left there, and we said, I didn't comprehend a single word of that. I had no idea what she was talking about. And every idea in the world is just racing through your head, right?
I think it was tough because as they're having that conversation, they're like, well, like we found this and like, here's how chromosomes work. And we think that there's, that, genetic abnormality of like a potential for having Down syndrome. And like, she's like, again, giving you that history lesson on how chromosomes work. And we're just sitting there like, what do we have to do next? Like, we don't care about any, like, we just need to know like, what is going on? Like, what do we need to do next? What are our next steps? And I think, like Matt said, that it was really hard because so many things are racing through your head, especially as first-time parents. we have no idea what to expect, let alone adding this into the equation. It was hard too, because they sit there and they're like, look, like, we're going to send you downstairs for lab work right after this. You're going to do a NIPT, or like a non-invasive test to take my blood and then take the baby's DNA out to test for genetics. So we're going to send you downstairs to do that. But like, you really need to go home and think about your options. Like, do you want to terminate your pregnancy? Like, there's there's options you have. And like, you're just sitting there like, oh my gosh. I just remember leaving that appointment, and 4 hours before that, you think nothing's happening. You think your pregnancy is great. Everything's healthy. You leave there. I just remember we got in the car and I just like lost it. I broke down. I could not believe what was happening. I just remember sitting in the parking garage, just like crying my eyes out. Like, what did we just experience? Oh my gosh.
I don't remember what percentage they gave us, but it
was like 10%.
It was, well, a high percent that they said that, Chelsea wouldn't make it through.
Oh,
the baby wouldn't make it through the pregnancy, that there was a high chance of loss. And, in like the very small chance that, we did get to birth, that Graham would have Down syndrome. And so we did, although we didn't even get to the conversation of any sort of termination, because me and Chelsea were so quickly like, we don't want to talk about it. We're not doing that. If there's any chance, regardless of the outcome, we're full bore. We're going for it.
Like, what do we need to do?
And yeah, that's been the approach the whole time, is just, great, what do we got to do next?
Yeah. Yeah. It was tough. Those first few days after hearing that was a very tough time. I mean, we just kind of sat at home.
We went to the zoo.
We ended up, thank God for him, because he was like, Chelsea, like, after like 2 days of me just like, I could not get off the couch. He was like, we got to get up. We got to get your mind off of this. We got to do something. Like, let's go to the zoo. Let's just take the day, refresh, like not even think about what we're going to do. And like, let's just kind of keep moving forward. So thank God for him, because if not, I would have been on the couch for like the next 30 some weeks.
I can't believe in all this time it hasn't gotten better. I'm so sorry you dealt with that. I really am. I didn't know. We had no idea. So I never had any of that pre-birth trauma, if you will, because I did have an ultrasound, and they told me that Derek's leg bone was short. And was I sure that I was as pregnant as I thought I was, based on whatever.
And now my legs are long.
Still
Short.
But longer. Yeah.
Derek says they're long. The rest of us say they're short.
Yeah. And so,
and
during when that ultrasound occurred, he said to Eric and I, my husband, Derek's dad, said, "Do I think he'll be a midget?" No, probably not. And I was just like,
I am not a midget.
Well, that never even entered my mind. So thanks for throwing that one out there.
That?
Right. But never even said anything about Down syndrome. Okay. So and now that I've heard of some of these stories of families who have gone through this prenatally, if you will, prior to the birth, I'm glad I didn't know. Because I got the diagnosis when he was 5 days old, and by then it's a baby and he's here, and now what do we do? Right. But anyway, it kind of breaks my heart that here we are 27 years later and we're not better in the medical community. Did they give you any resources with like a Down syndrome association in your area or anything like that?
Not right off the bat. And I don't know if that's because when we did that NIPT, that blood test, it came back low risk for any sort of genetic disorder. And so every week that we would go to MFM and do testing, they were like, well, like it could be because we see this today, but we didn't see this last week, or like the cystic hygroma resolved itself. And like, so every week it was something different.
Yeah. There was a period in the beginning where it was like, we could be having a Down syndrome, or Chelsea may lose the baby. And then it was kind of like everything's resolving and things are getting better. And then as the pregnancy went on, it slowly kept creeping up of people saying like, hey, some of these soft markers are starting to pop up, like Chelsea said, like a shortened nasal bone and some of these things.
Yeah,
And
it was like maybe a week before. So I was scheduled for a C-section at 39 weeks because he was breached like the entire time, he would not flip. And at 37 weeks, maybe, we met with the NICU doctor because we were like, okay, we're going to have a NICU stay because he had a heart condition. They already confirmed that. And it wasn't until about 37 weeks that he sat us down and was like, you know, you're having a baby with Down syndrome, right? And we were like, being like in denial, kind of was like, well, what do you mean? Like all the tests show that like
we know there's a chance that they may not, but there's a maybe that he will, and we're just not really sure. And he kind of gave us the, guys, come on.
Like, I don't care what that test says, like the heart defect, the echogenic bowels, the shortened, nasal bone, like
he said, I've been working in the NICU a long time, and he's like,
this is not my first rodeo.
Exactly.
He said, if I'm betting my house on this, like this is definitely happening.
Yeah. So we didn't really have a ton of resources. I think as soon as we found out from the beginning of the possibility, I quickly went to social media, Facebook, and all the Down syndrome groups. TikTok is when I found you guys, and like, how do I best prepare for this life that's to come? I mean, there's no preparing for it, no matter what anyone says, but social media was like my resource, honestly, for anything. So it was tough because we got resources from the NICU once we were there and he was born, but before that, not really.
Well, honestly, I'm happy that social media exists, because I think if you search Down syndrome, like even just all the accounts I follow, like seeing adults like Derek, but also seeing little kids who their parents post about them and the growth that they're having. Like the number of people out there who are sharing their family's positive stories, like there is a lot to find. So I'm glad that that's where you turned, because I think hopefully once you got on social media and you saw families of kids who have Down syndrome, you probably had a lot more hope and saw a lot more happiness and a lot more love than what the doctors were presenting to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is nice. Even like Graham was born in October of 2022. So there's even Facebook groups of like Down syndrome moms from July through December of 2022. So you can stay with that group and your kids are all within a 6-month range, and you guys can all just kind of grow together as your kids grow, and things like that have been so helpful. Like I've made so many like mom friend groups. It has been insane. So yeah, they are so helpful for us.
So did you have any connection or experience with Down syndrome before Graham's diagnosis?
No, a couple people that were in our high school, but aside from that, no, not really.
No, I didn't really know anybody. So it was definitely scary because like in high school, like we had Down syndrome kids in high school, and like you see them, but I never really interacted with them. So yeah, I did not know anything because like I didn't have anyone who also had families to help us through it that we could connect with, like in person. No family, no friends. It was definitely a new learning experience for all of us. So
well, that is very, very beautiful. I got to know how special is Graham with you guys are.
It's kind of funny.
Of him.
It's funny because we also have a 6-month-old, and we're always like, we love them both like equally and dearly, but Graham is like our buddy. Like we love Dalton, our little 6-month-old, but oh my gosh, Graham is just.
Derek, I think I told your mom when we were at the Guardians game that sometimes you almost feel bad saying it, but having Graham, you have this initial thought of, maybe all the bad that is associated to it. But now that he's older, you almost have like, you almost see other families and you're like, there's no way that they can love a child like we love Graham. Like he's so special and you're so connected to him. And there's things that he does that just like draw you in so much that you just every day you just like cherish it, and you're so much more needed, and he relies on you and you rely on him, and you're so connected to him that that bond just feels so strong.
My question is this: You guys are big baseball fans, like we are,
Oh yeah.
like the Cardinals. How much a big fan? How much big fan of baseball, Trini?
This big.
Huge.
This
Now, are you
big.
both baseball
agree with that.
fans, or is really Matt the baseball fan, or Chelsea? Or
Oh,
you
no,
a baseball
Chelsea.
fan too?
We are.
We've been to. I know you guys. You might have us beat on the amount of stadiums you guys been to. But me and Chelsea have been to a few. We've been out to San Francisco. We've gone to Oakland. I've been to both Chicago stadiums in Pittsburgh and
Yeah.
Detroit and
Boston.
Cincinnati. I've been to Boston. So yeah, we've made our way.
Your list is up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Oh, yeah.
That's a good list.
Yeah.
Mom is about to add her 15th stadium next
Wow.
week.
Where you
'cause we're going to
going?
the Yankees game.
New York
Aw.
Yankees.
New York Yankees.
I know, but come on.
But they're actually playing Cleveland.
Oh,
That's-
yeah.
Aren't they?
Maybe we'll
I
root
think
for the Guardians.
I
while
think we're going to
there.
have to be rooting for the Guardians for sure.
Yeah.
But they are
Yes.
playing Cleveland when we'll be there. I did want to know how is Graham with your younger son?
At first, he was very unfazed. Like, he was just like, did not care if he cried. Like, if our youngest cried, he was not even looking at him, did not care 2 seconds about him. Now that our 6-month-old is a little more like on the ground, a little more mobile, things like that, Graham just runs over, like crawls over to him. He'll rip his pacifier out and just huck it to the like other room. Oh yeah, we're trying to learn how to be gentle and nice because he'll just go up and kind of smack him in the face and grab his clothes and stuff. But he's getting more interested now in him, I think.
They're so close in age. I think they're
15 months
apart. And Graham is obviously a little developmentally behind. And then Dalton's just swirling up, growing so fast that it's almost like having twins right now. So it's like they're going to start walking together at the same time. Like they're trying to learn to crawl at the same time. Like they're
together.
they're trying to eat together for the first time. So it's like having kids apart, but at the same age at the same time. So there's a lot of things that we're doing right now that's the same.
That's what I was going to say. I have a feeling as soon as Dalton starts hitting those milestones, Graham's going to be like, oh, shoot, I got to do this too. Because I think even with Katie being a couple years younger than Derek, that's something that we've talked about. Like, Mom has always said that I was I took more of a nurturing role with Derek as the older sister, and Katie kind of gave him that kick in the butt. Like, let's go. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, it's always been like that. And no excuses. Like Katie never, even, she's 2 foot tall and she's taken no excuses from Big Brother. I can do it. You can do it, And I think your boys are going to have the most amazing bond, especially being that close in age. And how cool is it going to be for both of them to have each other,
Now that you're almost 2 years in, what would you go back and tell yourself, like right when you were first finding out, or after that first, 3-hour conversation about stuff that just went straight over your head? Like, what would you tell that version of yourself?
I think me and Chelsea were throughout the pregnancy, although I know I had one moment of the, oh my gosh, kind of panic attack, but throughout the pregnancy, we always had the little bit of, there's that little fear inside of you. You don't know what it's going to be and you don't know what it's going to look like. And, there's a lot of bad associated to that, like in your head of, what's this going to mean to our lives? And, how are we going to, handle this? And, once you kind of get to the point that we are now, you are almost like you want to go back in time and just say, hey guys, you couldn't imagine a life without this kid. Like your life would never be the same. We wouldn't be talking to Baker Banter today. I'll tell you that.
That is true.
Those experiences and the things that, and the biggest thing that, I always talk to my mom about is having Graham and seeing the impact that he's made on so many people and his ability to bring so many people together. I mean, there's long lost friends, there's long lost family, We're having the buddy walk this weekend. We have, so many people coming out to do the walk, and, the people that you see come to you out of the woodwork and say, I have similar issues and I have similar problems, and being able to connect with that. It's almost like going back and saying like, hey, you can be an advocate, and be so much bigger than you are today, and not really realizing that at the time, right?
Yeah.
Well, that is very beautiful for sure. That's all the questions I have for you guys before we have the wrestling. Jenna Mom, want to finish up their fellow questions? Jenna Mom, you may go for it.
Thank you.
Wow, amazing.
Take over your fellow question, and now you're up to wrestling after that. Jenna Mom, fire away.
Thank you. So I did want to know, you mentioned your mom. Like, what was the conversations like with your family when you told them, and were they scared? Were they supportive? Like, how did that reaction go for you?
So we actually called our parents, I think, on the way home from that appointment.
Yeah, I don't even know if we left the parking garage.
I think we were literally on the phone with our parents like immediately, because we were like, oh my gosh, what just happened? And they knew we were going for this second opinion already. So they wanted us to, keep them in the loop. And I remember calling my parents, and the only thing they said was like, whatever you need from us, like, we are there to help you. Like, we will love this kid either way. Like we love, well, at the time, we didn't even know we were having a boy yet. Like, whatever this baby, like, we will love this baby no matter what. So like, you tell us what we need to, like, that you need from us, and like, we're here for you guys. So, and I think the same with your family. Like, they were just so supportive for both of us.
Yeah, obviously, lots of questions, all the questions that you can imagine. As we all know, grandparents are always the worry warts of the family. But yeah, I think they had to ask all their questions, much like us, and they probably even helped us ask the right questions to some of the doctors that we weren't thinking of. But yeah, it was everything and support that they offered. So it was really cool.
Yeah.
What surprised you the most about this journey?
That's a really good question. Honestly, now Graham's only almost 2. How easy I think this journey has been, despite, the heart surgery or whatever. He has been such an, I can't even, it's hard to compare because like, or to talk about, because
he was an easy baby.
He was such an easy baby.
We almost felt like we were cheating.
Yeah.
Especially originally. He slept awesome. With some of the heart stuff, he didn't really cry all that much because he had some fluid in his lungs. So like, it was kind of like a whimper.
It was the softest, quietest cry. Like, he wasn't a colicky baby. He literally slept 22 hours a day. It was the easiest thing you could ever imagine. Then as he got older, like, he kept that personality of like, I'm just a relaxed, I can sit here and play with my toys and just entertain myself, or like, I can play with you guys. He is just so easy and so friendly to everybody. Like, there's never any worry like about him.
Yeah,
and
there's so many people that come to you and they say, oh, how's it going? You guys are going through so much.
Like,
I'm
Chelsea
sorry, would always
and
kind of
we're
be
like-
like, yeah, it's not too bad.
And we like feel guilty. We're like, are we supposed to be going through a challenge? I don't feel that.
The hospital stays are tough sometimes, but aside from that, he's kind of the perfect baby.
Yeah. Yep.
That was definitely surprising, because you think so much is going to be like this chaotic, wild, intense
challenge.
Like, you're like, no, he's just a baby.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Mom's always joked with Katie and I that Derek was way easier than the two of us.
Oh my God. So much easier to deal with.
Well, our other
Dalton,
one is, we're
Yeah.
going to go through the ringer.
You're paying for how easy Graham was.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, he's a handful. But no, other than that, I just think the pregnancy and like the first maybe month was probably our biggest challenge, right? Because you're trying to prepare for something you don't know what's to come. And when we had Graham, we delivered him in one hospital, but then they transferred him to a second, like a children's hospital, within 2 hours of being born. So it kind of felt like I got robbed of that entire pregnancy and like that joyous moment. I mean, it was 6 hours after giving birth. He's at a completely different hospital with our newborn. I'm by myself in another hospital, just sitting in a bed, literally by myself. With luckily, our children's hospital had cameras in all the NICU rooms, so I'm watching my newborn that I just gave birth to 6 hours ago on a camera, and I'm like sitting here like, what just happened? Like, I'm by myself, like I don't know what to do. Like, I feel like I didn't even have a baby or like have that experience. So I think that was the most challenging part. But then the next day when you go to see, like I went to see him, it like completely disappeared. So it's like none of that happened. None of it mattered. Like, I'm with my baby now, and it's just like a whole new different journey.
I did want to give you guys the opportunity. I know you are fresh into this journey with Graham being almost 2, and we do have a seasoned vet over here of 27 years. So if you guys have any questions for us or our family or Derek and I's dynamic, you fire away.
Yeah, I did. I wrote down some questions actually, that I was trying to think through throughout the week. And one would be, did you guys use any sort of like early intervention? Did you go to therapies, PT, OT? We have a state program through the state of Ohio called Help Me Grow, and it's free for children up to the age of 3. So we kind of utilize that. What did that look like for you guys growing up?
Yeah. So Derek actually started therapy at 2 months old. So we got connected with a local organization here. It was called the Bell Center. And I got that, not my pediatrician, right? I was the mom, but the kid's pediatrician connected me with another mom here in St. Louis who had an adult, she's an adult daughter now, had a older daughter, right? I think at the time Megan was like maybe 5. Or no, Grace. Her name was Grace. Grace was like 5 years old. So she was a little bit older than Derek. She, gave me some resources, and one of them was the Bell Center. So they were an early intervention program from birth to 3. We went to these parent-infant classes, and there were OTs there, PTs, speech therapists, developmental therapists, like all the people. They would, congregate with all the parents and these new children, right? These young babies between birth and 3, and just talk about different milestones and different strategies and techniques that you could use if whatever's going on with your kid, right? To get them to the next milestone and the next step and help them thrive and those sorts of things. So, that was, I think, pretty key. One of Derek's best buddies now is a kid that he was in that, Bell Center class with. They were both in diapers, 26 years ago, because Brandon's a year younger than Derek. So yeah, he immediately started in therapy, 2 months old. The other thing that we did for Derek, and I'm not advocating for this. I don't know if it even exists anymore, but there was a diet supplement called Nutravine D. Pretty sure that's what the name of it was. And we talked with our pediatrician about it. We had Eric at the time started a brand new job right after Derek was born. He was in a office with 6 people. Most of them were family. There was one of the people there was the other non-family members. So there's 6 of them. 2 of them are not related. And she had a son with Down syndrome. And it was something that she had told us about, something that she had done with her son. And so we started giving him this vitamin supplement. Our pediatrician said, well, I don't know that it's going to hurt. I think Derek needs to use the restroom. I don't think it's going to hurt him. There's nothing in there to hurt him. So if you want to, go ahead. And so for, I don't even know, maybe 3, 4, 5 years, we gave him this Nutravine D supplement. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. Did that have any impact on him? I have no idea. You don't know. Like, you don't know, right? I mean, his friends are so different. Like, all of his friends are different as far as their capabilities, their likes, their dislikes. His buddies, Nick and Brandon, are, and Manny. Nick, Brandon, and Manny are probably his 3 best friends with Down syndrome. Manny, he went to school with. Manny is not nearly as talkative. Nick and Brandon are both very talkative, but maybe not as clear in their speech as Derek is. But all a hoot. I mean, these three boys together are like hysterical. And then there's another young man that we know quite well who graduated from high school with Katie, so 4 years younger. He is an athlete. He's won 2 silver medals in golf at Special Olympics national games. Yeah. Derek can't play putt-putt, right? So, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, I think all of these kids have such different personalities and different strengths. And I think, and at least our viewpoint always was we tried to treat Derek just like we treated Jenna and then eventually Katie. And we had high expectations, and we are always trying to get him to jump higher. And because you don't know where that plateau is. So we were never ready to settle for anything.
I think that was one of the hardest parts for us to kind of accept at first, because we were always asking, the doctors, well, when will he do this? Or when will he crawl? When will he get teeth? Things like that you don't really think of being delayed, for a non-typical child. And every doctor would just be like, he's on Graham time. Like, when Graham's ready, he'll do it. And I think after almost a year of hearing that consistently, we finally realized, like, okay, we need to stop asking this, because when he's ready to do something, like, he will do it. And you probably agree with that, at least.
Yeah.
Like, we are very planning people. So we were always like, well, we want to know when and when and when. And it was just like, well, when Graham's ready, like, they'll do it. So I think he has pretty much exceeded all the capabilities that we were worried about once before we even had him. He's learning colors now, and he talks and says different words, and he can express, like, he can communicate with you and kind of start to tell you those needs. So it's been exciting to kind of watch and learn and see, like, what his capabilities are. And again, like you said, kind of exceed those and have those high expectations for him.
Yeah, for sure. And I think when your other son is Dalton, is that right? I foresee Dalton starting to kind of run and Graham deciding he's going to chase him. You know what I mean? And Derek didn't walk till he was over 2 years old. And I thought, we moved into this house we're in currently at right around the time he started to walk, and we had brand new Berber carpet. Well, that was not very kind to your knees. And he's like, oh, this kind of sucks. I guess I'll stand up, right? It hurts. But, it was no different than Jenna. I mean, I remember when Jenna was a baby, she would not eat solid food to save her life. Like, it was a thing, like trying to get her to eat food. And finally one day Eric said, do you think when she's 16 years old after a basketball game, she's going to go to Pizza Hut and drink milk out of a bottle? No, probably not. Right. So, I mean, every kid is just, a little bit different. And, I just think that my best advice to parents of kids with Down syndrome or, any other disability really is just treat them like you would any other kid, because they are more like everybody else than they are different. And get
them out there. Get them out there.
For sure. Like, don't hide them away, right? Like, this is us, right? And I would say for you guys, we were kind of lucky because Jenna was older, that, she was in her elementary school and Derek came to the carnivals and Derek came to the concerts and Derek came to the field day and all those things. So, the school saw him coming, if you will.
Don't forget a talent show.
And the talent shows. For you guys, I mean, I would say, you know what, if your local elementary school is having a carnival and it's open to the public, show up with your boys and start making those connections,
One of the early, I don't know if it was from the Down syndrome clinic or one of the doctors, but they had told us, it was really easy to have a son with Down syndrome or a baby with Down syndrome. And as they grow up, just kind of like keep them in the corner. Like, they don't need much attention. They can just kind of be in the corner and do their own thing. And they were like, don't do that at all. If you go wash the car, like, have them wash the car with you. If you're going to go play with something, like, have them play with you. And I think we had that approach from an early age. And So Graham and Dalton are in daycare together.
5 days a week.
Yeah, they're close together in the morning, and then they split up in the afternoon. Graham's a class ahead of them. But even with some of the workers from Help Me Grow, I think they just told you this recently, how quickly Graham seems to be developing, and how much they really think it's because he's in the classes with these
The
other
typical
kids. Like, they're
children.
trying to keep him at the same age. So he sees them crawl all day. Well, he wants to crawl. They see him eat all day. They see him play all day. So we've always had that mindset of, and we've never viewed. Sometimes I tell Chelsea, I kind of forget Graham has Down syndrome. Sometimes, like, he's just Graham.
Yeah.
And he's just our baby. And yeah, sometimes you're like, oh yeah, he doesn't walk yet. And you're, well, whatever. But no, we try to take him to daycare, and we say, hey, here's Graham, and they're, he's got a G tube. All right, well, he's got a G tube. Send him to daycare. And he had eye surgery yesterday. Well, he seems to be doing good. Like, send him to daycare, right? Let him go hang out with his friends. Let him do his thing. But a question for you, and I know you brought that up a little bit. One thing that me and Chelsea have always thought about, we've always had that with daycare, but we've always been curious about school. And one thing I've always been curious about is, at what age did Derek kind of like ascend through school? And I was never sure if he goes through high school, will he also be, 17, 18 when he leaves? Or, do you stay in high school longer and really kind of like let yourself develop until you're ready to move on from schooling? I've always been curious about that.
Yeah, I think
The man becomes the man where he is.
there you go. The man becomes the man.
The
Okay.
wise Derek.
Because I am
So
too cool for high school, and
You
high
are
school
now.
is too cool for me. So it feels good like that.
Peace.
Great question.
Okay,
Okay.
Mom's turn.
so now my turn. The man is the man. No. So
I am the man.
in the state of
Nobody
Missouri,
calls me that.
and I don't know if yours laws are different or anything like that, but in the state of Missouri, kids can start getting special education services at the age of 3. So I would start reaching out to your school district now to see if that's the case for you as well. And I think the sooner you get Graham integrated into the school system, the better, right? Because again, they see you coming. Derek was in general education pretty much all through elementary school. So in Missouri, that's kindergarten through 5th grade. He was occasionally pulled out for like speech therapy and some other things. He had music therapy for a while in elementary school, and he got pulled out of class for that. But for the most part, he was with the general education program during that, during K through 5. When we got into middle school, I was always and I kind of honestly
At
took the lead
Rockstar
on this stuff.
Is awesome in middle school. So let you know.
What
Proceed.
was awesome in middle school?
I said I am a
He was a rock star.
in middle school.
He's been a rock star since day one. But
Amen.
in middle school, it just seemed like that academic gap was getting wider. And it didn't really make a lot of sense to me for him to sit like in a 6th grade math class because of that gap. And so he started spending a little bit more time in the resource classroom. He was still in a general education building. He did spend a little bit more time in like math and English in the resource room, but certainly all the the choir, the cooking, the band, all of the gym, all that stuff, he was with Gen Ed. So as much as possible. And then when we got into high school, some of those gaps were even a little bit wider. And so then, kind of through high school, it was more the core curriculum was in a resource room. So math, science, social studies, English. Everything else, though, he was in Gen Ed. He ate in the lunchroom. He was 4 years behind Jenna in school. So she graduated from high school, went to college, and he entered the high school. But she had a bunch of friends that year younger than her. So his freshman year of high school, he was actually sitting with senior girls for lunch. And his buddies in his resource room were like, how is that working? Like, why is that working for him? But, and then he actually started school at 6 instead of 5. So by the time he graduated from high school, he was 19. And here in the state of Missouri, kids can receive public education until 21. So he went into a 2-year work program where he was actually working in a cafeteria at a local Monsanto office, now Bayer.
I think when he graduated too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you kind of had the mindset of by the time he was graduating, he had been in school with some of those kids since kindergarten. And they had the choice of letting him stay at the high school, but all of his classmates that he had been in school with every single year were graduating and moving on.
Yeah.
And I know in my experience at the high school, there were times where some of the kids with special needs did stay for an extra year after their classmates graduated. And it was just kind of like, they seemed sad. Like it was like they kind of got left behind and the rest of their class moved on. And so I think with Derek,
he wouldn't have had that. There was no way. He knew, I'm graduating in May of 2016. I am graduating. I am going on. I am doing something new. Like, he would have never stood for that.
Yeah. And I think it did affect those kids who they did choose that route. Like, you could tell that they knew that something was different. They had kind of gotten left behind, and that did impact their, mental health, their happiness, that sort of thing. So I think, like, for me personally, it was good to see Derek finish school with the rest of his classmates.
Yeah.
And then luckily there was that work program. So he was able to like still have resources for those final 2 years. It was just in a different capacity, which is what everybody else was doing too. They were doing something different. And I think that was good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. But he never would have stood for that. He would have said, if I tried to wake him up in August after he walked across that stage and said, go back to Parkway North, he'd look at me and go, hell no, I'm not going. I graduated. I got my diploma. I'm not going back.
With that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we do have to wrap it up, but did you guys have any, like, one more question you wanted to hit us with, and then we'll let Derek ask his last question, or what do you got?
I think that was it. I mean, honestly, most of my I wrote them all down. Most of my questions were like answered throughout our conversation just naturally. So no, you guys have been so helpful for us over the last 2 weeks since we met you guys originally.
I thought it would be so cool to have this conversation because I think why we do this and why we talk about Down syndrome so much is so we can help families like yours. And I think to kind of like have that juxtaposition where, we are 27 years into our journey and you guys are 2 years into yours, to kind of like even just like hear your story of what that looks like now, and knowing one thing I really did want to know from you guys is like, when you did find Baker Banter and like other accounts like ours, like what did that do for you from like a mental health perspective, and like how did that impact you guys to find families like ours on the internet?
Yeah, I think I remember, I don't know if I ever told you this. It was around the time that we had found out, and I was like cutting the grass outside, and I had to like stop the lawnmower because it just like, it was like a wave of a hit. It nailed me. Right. And I was just like, I was upset, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it was just like that anxiety rush. Right. And we all had that kind of like going into, that experience. But, what was I going to say?
Your lawnmower
Yeah.
moment.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Derp.
Well, I
okay.
had just asked like what when you found like Baker Banter or other accounts
Oh,
of
yes,
yours,
yes,
like
yes.
what did that kind of like yeah.
I'm
This
sorry.
happens all the
Yeah.
time.
So
No, that's okay. It happens to me too. I have ADHD.
Yeah.
I get it.
so we had all those moments, and I do remember so vividly Chelsea finding Derek on TikTok in your family and being like, oh my gosh, look at Derek and look what he's doing. And we found other kids. I think we saw Hudson.
Yeah.
We followed
Yeah.
him
We
sometime.
followed
I love Hudson.
He's,
Love him.
he's a little boy. He's so cute. And we started following you guys, and we started seeing Derek, and we started seeing, the way he interacts with you guys, and you start to be kind of like, oh, wait a second, like, look how cool, Derek is, and look at the things that, the way you guys are as a family. And
I think one of the first videos I found was like your Father's Day video where
Oh boy.
your dad was not having it and you were like, wanted to give him a hug and you were like, well, happy Father's Day, bitch. And we like, that is like, we like quote that like randomly throughout the days, like just like out of nowhere. It like is the funniest thing to us. We like, if somebody's like, who's the Baker family and like, what's their TikToks? We will find that video and like send that to them first as like, your
no. It's the sass.
You're like,
Have you met Graham's sassy side yet?
not a ton. He has some sassy like moments, but not yet.
Oh, it's coming.
Just wait.
They all have it.
Yeah.
They
Right.
all have it. That's for sure. No, it's okay. In Derek's defense, I did accidentally set him up for failure because my dad had come home that day and he had been out on the farm all day and he was like muddy and sweaty and he knew we were going to record a video anyways because we were giving him a gift that day. And he had told me, I don't want to record anything until I've showered. And then I go in Derek's room to say hi to him and he's like, hey, Jenna, record. And I don't know that Derek's about to go say hi to Dad. So next thing you know, Derek goes running out to say hi to Dad and I'm recording him. And my dad's like, what the hell? I just told you I don't want to be recorded yet. And then he, said, no, I don't want your hug. And then Derek got mad and Happy Father's Day, bitch, occurred.
Was immortalized.
I'm like, I need that on like a t-shirt.
My defense,
Yeah.
I knew he didn't want to do that.
You didn't know that he didn't want to
Yeah.
record
Well-
for a second. Right.
I hope the sweet moments resonate too sometimes.
Yeah.
They do. They
Yes.
absolutely do. Oh yeah. Like once we started sending like your guys' videos to our families, like they'll spend like all day just like watching video after video. They'll text us and be like, here, did you see the new video they just posted? Or did you see this one? Did you see this one? Like, I mean, our family, our friends, we have coworkers now that like send us videos back and forth of you guys throughout the day. Like everyone that we like connect ourselves with, like know you guys now.
Oh my God.
We
you guys are
appreciate it.
amazing.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Amazing.
Okay,
Well,
Derek, go ahead.
Before
Let
you
Mom
go,
say one more thing.
I just want to say that you truly are the reason we do what we do. And this means the world to me to actually know that we are impacting young families who have kids with Down syndrome. So this is not the end of our friendship.
good.
I hope that you
The
will keep
friendship
in
is
touch.
just begun.
That's
The
right. Our
friendship
friendship has
totally
just
just
begun.
begun.
I hope that you will keep in touch.
If you haven't been to the Cardinal Stadium, you'll have to come.
You
We
would
have to
not.
come, we'll all go together. But literally, I'm here for you
thank
as
you.
as kind of been there, done that, have the T-shirt.
Sounding board.
I can only share with you what I experienced and what I believe to be true, right? It's my reality with my son, but I'm here for you to support you and be your friend and be your sounding board. And you have truly made my trip to Cleveland be worth every single penny that was spent. So I thank you for that.
Oh, well, you're
Well,
welcome.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Again, you were the first.
Wow. That's
person we
beautiful. Anyway,
All right, now
big
we're going to talk
busy
about
right
wrestling.
here.
All right, last one, D.
But Dixie time.
Oh boy.
Wrestling.
I hope you're ready for this.
Ugh.
So I did mention this before. You guys are big wrestling fans. You did say it before. I did spar you when you got started watching wrestling. How you feel as a wrestling fan? How you feel to go to every single wrestling event?
Have you ever been to a wrestling event?
I don't think we have.
We have not.
Oh,
We're not as big
well,
wrestling fans as Derek probably hopes we are.
yeah.
But I would go to one with Derek.
Hopefully I do.
There you go.
Thank you for that.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Derek's ready to introduce Graham to wrestling.
Graham could be
I
a
can't wait to
wrestling fan.
see the future champion in Graham.
It's
Future
very
champion.
loud in there.
Blue
Get him
man.
some of those baby headphones.
Oh yeah, you can't take. How does he do with noises?
He's pretty
Loud noises.
Both of our families are very, very loud. My family mainly, when I say that.
Yeah.
Like we're just a loud, chaotic group. And this kid sleeps through anything. He's just unfazed, like he could care less.
Have
which
you
is
ever
great.
taken him to fireworks?
That we have not done. We
No,
thought about
yeah.
it this year, but he's still on an early bedtime routine. So we're like,
Sure.
maybe next
Yeah,
year.
early on he would startle easy. So if it's been loud, I don't think it's too bad. But if it's kind of quiet and there's like a quick,
Boom.
yeah, he would kind of get scared. But no, he hasn't been too bad as he's gotten a
No.
little bit older.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah. Derek, when we were younger, he did not like fireworks. And we used to actually we'd like find a hilltop where we could see like multiple things of fireworks happening around the town, but we weren't actually like on the property of any of them because he wouldn't like it. And it was actually really cool because this year we went to fireworks. We were in Northern California and we were right there. Like the ship was in the water right in front of us.
It was a barge.
It was a whatever barge ship, same thing. We were on the side of the river or not river, whatever it was, the body of water. It was there. We were here. Fireworks were right over us, and Derek enjoyed every second of it. And it was like kind of like, whoa, like he really liked that. And so it was so just know that if something like that does happen that Graham doesn't like you don't have to force it upon him now, but eventually he might, get to the point where he is okay with it. And that, like, for us, afterward, I told Derek, I was like, I am so proud of you. Like, you really enjoyed that. And he just absolutely got a kick out of it. But we would have never been able to do that when you were like 10.
Yeah.
Of course not. Well, I am glad you mentioned fireworks. Thank you for that. We do have a lot of storylines in wrestling, like fireworks with Liv Dom, and pretty soon fireworks with Io and Abba. I gotta know the first prediction. Do you want to see Abba Fire and Io Sky fireworks of love machine Abba Fire and Io Sky?
Just say yes.
Yes.
Okay, Derek, we don't have any more time for wrestling. We got to wrap this up. They don't actually know wrestling as well as you want them to. I know you want it, but it's not there.
Well,
I will start
do you
watching
guys wa-
all of your recaps because I see them posted now on Snapchat. So I'll start learning from those.
Well, that's cool. Do you want to see Raquel Rodriguez returning at Badger Berlin?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Graham said
I
yeah.
agree
wrap
with
it up,
that.
bud.
Graham's saying yes.
Last one. Punk McIntyre, Badger Berlin. Do you want to see CM Punk taking out Drew McIntyre at Badger Berlin?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Boom.
There you go. They
There
are
you go.
100% in agreement
I'd agree
with
on
you.
that. What about Cody Rhodes?
Oh, you said last one.
You did say last one.
Well, I cheated.
Ah. we're always team Cody Rhodes.
Do you want to see Cody Rhodes turn heel and might join the Bloodline 2.0?
No,
We're
no,
team
no,
Cody
no.
Rhodes.
They're
Yeah, we're
team
team
Cody,
Cody Rhodes.
regardless.
Well, whatever happens,
We'll see what happens.
are you going to be the support of the Cody when he turns heel and join the Bloodline 2.0?
We will be supportive of Cody.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Boom. Okay, we got to let them go.
Well, that's all I have for now, so thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for lovely parents, Chelsea and Matt, and a cute little kid, Graham.
Yay! Okay,
Good to have
well,
you
thank
guys.
you. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This will be out not next Monday, but the following. So I think that's like the 26th.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us. And I am so glad that we got to have this conversation. Graham
I
is
like
absolutely,
cheat and steal.
he is absolutely adorable. I am glad to see that he's doing well after his eye tube surgery yesterday. Derek actually had the same surgery a couple of times. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But I am so happy for your family. I can just, it's just the love and the warmth that surrounds somebody like Graham is so evident and so apparent. And yeah, I know, Graham, I agree. I agree.
You
But-
got it well, buddy.
Yeah, but that is all we have time for today. Make sure to find us on all the platforms at Baker Banter. Find our merch on bakerbanter.com. My Etsy store is in the link tree on the link in bio, or the link in our bios. And we will talk to you guys on Thursday with the Wrestling Top 10. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.